Good morning, friends. Good morning. All right, here's our story. It's called Dear Juno. And you guys remember what this story was about, right? You remember the grandmother wrote Juno a letter and he was writing her back? All right, let's see. Juno watched as the red and white blinking lights soared across the night sky like shooting stars and waited as they disappeared into far away. Juno wondered if the stars were going to Seoul, where his grandmother lived. Do you think the shooting star went to his grandmother's house? Let's see. Juno looked at the letter that came in the mail that day. It was long and white and smudged. He saw red and blue marks on the edges and knew the letter came from far away. His name and address were neatly printed on the front, so he knew the letter was for him. But best of all, the special stamp on the corner told Juno that the letter was from his grandmother. You see how decorated the envelope is that the letter is in, guys? Through the window, Juno could see his parents. What are they doing? What are they doing right there? That's right, guys. They're washing dishes. He saw his parents washing the dirty dishes, so he knew that he was going to have to wait before he could ask them to open the letter and read it. So you know what Juno's going to do? Do you remember? Yes. He went to the front porch. You remember? With his dog named Sam, and Sam was wagging his tail, and he carefully opened the envelope, and what do you know? What did he find inside? He found a letter folded into a neat small square. Look at Juno and Sam. And you remember, guys, I told you that the letter was written in their language, in Korean. He unfolded it and he tucked inside were a picture and a dry flower. Juno looked down at the letter and words he couldn't understand. He pulled out the picture. It was a picture of his grandmother holding a cat. He pulled out the red and yellow flower. It felt light and gentle like a dry leaf. Juno smiled. How do you think he was feeling? That's right, he was so happy because he received a letter from his grandmother. Have you ever received a letter from your grandmother or your grandfather in the mail? Grandma has a new cat, Juno said as he handed the letter to his mother. And she's growing red and yellow flowers in her garden. And you know what the daddy said? He said, "How did you know that?" And he said, "Look, because she wouldn't send me a picture of a strange cat." "I guess not," said Juno's father. "How do you know the flowers from her garden?" asked Juno's mother. "She wouldn't send me a flower from someone else's garden, Daddy." His daddy is so silly. And you know what? Juno was right. Everything that the grandmother put in there was related to something that she had, right? So you want to know what the letter said? It said, "Dear Juno, how are you? I have a new cat to keep me company. I named him Juno right after you. He can't help me weed, but the rabbits no longer come to eat my flowers." Grandma, just like you read it yourself, Juno's father said. "I did read it," Juno said. "Yes, you did, Juno," said his mother. Look. You see the grandma? She was sitting and she was writing him the letter. At school, Juno showed his class his grandmother's picture and dried flower. His teacher even pinned the letter to the board. And you know what, guys? All day long, Juno was thinking about that letter. And he was thinking about what he was going to make his grandmother. He didn't have a garden that grew flowers, but he had a swinging tree. Juno looked at the letter pinned to the board. Did his grandmother like getting letters too? Yes, Juno thought. She likes getting letters just like I do. So you know what? Juno decided to write his grandmother a letter, friends. Do you remember what he put in the letter? Maybe. Let's see. After school, Juno ran to his backyard. He picked a leaf from the swinging tree, the biggest leaf he could find. Juno found his mother, who was sitting at the desk. He showed her the leaf and he said, "I'm going to write a letter too." "I'm sure it would be very nice," his mother said, and she gave him a big yellow envelope. "Yes, it will," Juno said. And he began to do what, guys? He began to draw pictures, guys. You remember? First, he drew a picture of his mom and dad standing outside the house. Second, he drew a picture of Sam playing underneath his big swinging tree. Then, very carefully, Juno drew a picture of himself standing under an airplane in a starry nighttime sky. After he was finished, he placed everything in the envelope. Look at all the pictures. You see Juno, he's drawing a picture of himself. And then here's the picture of his mommy and daddy outside. Then here's a picture of Sam standing near the tree. You see it? Cool beans. You know what? Juno can really draw, can't he, guys? "Here's my letter," Juno announced proudly. "You can read it if you want." Juno's father looked in the envelope. He pulled out the leaf. "Only a big swinging tree could grow a leaf this big," he said. Juno's mother pulled out one of the drawings. "What a fine picture," she said. "It makes a good artist to say so much with a drawing." Juno's father patted Juno on the head. "It's just like a real letter." And you know what Juno said? He said, "Dad, it is a real letter." Right, guys? Pictures tell a whole lot of things, right, friends? And look at the grandma. She received it in Korea. And look, she pulled out the leaf and then she pulled out the pictures. Isn't that pretty cool, guys? One day, a big envelope came, and guess what? It was a letter from Grandma. And you know what was in the letter? It was a picture of his grandma, and it was a picture of her cat in Korea. And Juno was a boy's name and not a girl's name. Then he pulled out a small toy plane. And you know what? Juno smiled. His grandmother was coming to visit him. Oh, how do you think that made him feel when he know now that his grandma is coming? Oh, and she said, She said, "Juno, you know what? Grandma can be your friend too." That's what she said to Sam the cat, because Grandma was his friend. And so, let's see. Guess what, guys? Grandma is